On a cold February evening in 2004, a 21-year-old nursing student crashed her car on a remote New Hampshire road, and vanished. No footprints. No trail. No clear motive. And no body. But here's what makes this different: she emailed her professors, lied to her boss, emptied her bank account, and then disappeared. For 20 years, the internet has obsessed over the mystery of Maura Murray, America's first digital age missing person case. But was this a premeditated escape? A tragic accident? Or something far more sinister? Stay with me. Because the deeper we go, the more tangled and disturbing this story becomes. Let's rewind. February 9, 2004. It's a Monday. The kind of cold that slices through gloves and leaves frost on your eyelashes. New Hampshire roads are slick with ice and crusted snowbanks tower on either side. In the distance, the mountains loom silent, patient, ancient. And somewhere in this wintry expanse, a life quietly unravels. Maura Murray was 21. A bright, athletic, intelligent young woman. She was studying nursing at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. On the surface, she was the kind of student parents brag about at dinner parties: dean's list, disciplined, focused. But scratch that surface just a little, and things start to fray. The crash that night wasn't her first. And it wasn't the only mystery she left behind. The story doesn't begin with the crash. It begins in fragments. Odd, unsettling fragments. The kind that don't make sense until it's too late. On February 5th, just 4 days before she disappeared, Maura had a breakdown at her campus job. She worked security for one of the dorms. Routine stuff. Scanning IDs. Watching for partygoers with fake licenses and contraband booze. But that night, something went wrong. Around 1 a.m., her supervisor found her in a catatonic state. Not tired. Not upset. Gone. Staring blankly at a piece of paper on her desk. When asked what was wrong, Maura could only muster a whisper: "My sister." Now here's the twist. Later, we find out that her sister, Kathleen, had indeed had a difficult phone call with Maura that night. Kathleen had just gotten out of rehab and relapsed. She called Maura, drunk and upset. The details are sketchy, but whatever was said clearly shattered Maura's focus. She was escorted back to her dorm. But she never told anyone else, no friends, no professors, not even her boyfriend, that anything was wrong. That's the first crack. But there's more. The next few days are a kaleidoscope of strange decisions. Saturday, February 7th. Maura's father, Fred Murray, visits her at UMass. They go car shopping. Maura had recently wrecked her Toyota, and Fred wanted to help her find a replacement. That night, she borrows his brand new Toyota Corolla to run errands. But on the way back, she crashes it. No alcohol in her system. No injuries. But the damage? Over $10,000. Fred doesn't seem angry. In fact, he rents her a hotel room and tells her they'll deal with it in the morning. He drives back to Connecticut. Maura spends that night in her dorm. On Sunday, she talks to her boyfriend, Bill Roche. He's in Oklahoma, stationed at Fort Sill with the Army. According to him, everything seems normal. No panic. No sign she's planning to disappear. They say, "I love you." They talk about Valentine's Day. And then Monday comes. On February 9th, Maura sends emails to her professors, telling them there's been a death in the family, and that she'll be gone for a week. Spoiler, there was no death. She also calls her nursing school to let them know she'll be away. Then she empties her bank account, $280. Not exactly a start a new life fund. She goes to the DMV and picks up accident forms. Then, curiously, she buys alcohol, vodka, Kahlua, Baileys, and some boxed wine. She packs up her dorm room, neatly placing belongings into boxes and stacking them in the corner. She removes all pictures from the wall. Her bedding is stripped. On top of a box sits a printed email from her boyfriend. Some see this as the beginning of a permanent goodbye. Others? Just a college student trying to tidy up before a short trip. Around 3:30 p.m., she gets in her Saturn sedan and drives north. No one knows why. Her destination? Unknown. At 7:27 p.m., Maura crashes her car into a snowbank on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire, a desolate stretch of highway surrounded by trees and silence. A local resident, Butch Atwood, hears the crash and comes outside. He sees a young woman, Maura, standing beside the car. He offers help. She refuses. She says she's called AAA. She hadn't, there was no cell service in that area. Butch drives back home and calls 911 anyway. When police arrive 7 to 10 minutes later, Maura is gone. Now, you might be thinking, missing person cases happen every day. But this one was different. Because this was 2004. The dawn of the internet sleuth. Online forums. Message boards. Blogs. Podcasts. Reddit threads. Everyone had an opinion. And everyone wanted answers. Was it a planned disappearance? A panic-induced flight? Did she meet someone there? Or worse, did someone find her? For the first time in history, an entire case was dissected not just by professionals, but by thousands of armchair detectives around the globe. And they noticed things. Lots of things. Here's what the internet found, and trust me, you'll want to buckle in for this part. Theory 1, she ran away to start over. Some believe Maura was overwhelmed. School. Relationships. The crash. Her sister's relapse. Her father's pressure. Maybe she just snapped. Planned a quiet escape. Chose the White Mountains as her reset button. Evidence? The packed room. The goodbye emails. The map to Vermont found in her car. But here's the catch, she didn't take anything that would help her survive. No hiking gear. No extra clothing. No substantial money. No digital trail. And it was freezing. Who starts a new life with $280 and vodka? Theory 2, she died in the woods. Some say she panicked after the crash, fled into the forest to avoid getting in trouble, and succumbed to the elements. It was below freezing that night. Visibility? Low. Hypothermia can kick in quickly. But, no footprints? No scent trail for dogs to follow? No body ever found? Not even a shoe? Theory 3, she was picked up, and something went wrong. Maybe she hitched a ride. Someone came along before police arrived. And they weren't who they seemed. This theory has haunted true crime fans for decades. And it comes with chilling questions. Who got to her before the police? Was this someone she knew? Or was it someone who'd been watching? The more you dig, the weirder it gets. Phone records. Maura made a call to a number linked to a condo rental agency in Vermont the day she disappeared. Was she booking a getaway? The rag in the tailpipe. When police arrived at her abandoned car, they found a rag stuffed inside the tailpipe. Her father insists he told her to do that to prevent smoke from blowing out when the car was in bad shape. But others suspect it could point to suicide. Her boyfriend's role, Bill Roche, flew out to join the search. He seemed desperate to find her. But later reports claim he had been controlling. There were rumors, unverified, of emotional manipulation. Some online sleuths suspect he may know more than he said. But there's no concrete evidence to accuse anyone. Just a lot of what-ifs. For days, weeks, months, search teams combed the area. Dogs. Helicopters. Ground teams. Divers. Nothing. Not a single shred of physical evidence beyond the car. Her family plastered flyers everywhere. Fred Murray walked miles of wooded trails. Day after day. Year after year. Looking for a shoe. A scrap of clothing. Anything. But Maura had disappeared as if the forest itself swallowed her. And time, well, time has a way of eroding memory. But this case? It's still raw. Still alive. Still without closure. Every so often, something new bubbles up. A house near the crash site allegedly gave off cadaver dog alerts in its basement. But police never dug. Years later, Fred Murray begged for that area to be searched. Still, nothing confirmed. Tips roll in constantly. A woman on the side of the road who looked like Maura. A photo from Canada. A rumor from New York. Each one builds hope. And each one ends in heartbreak. This was the first real internet missing person case. It came just as blogs were rising. Before Facebook, before Twitter, before TikTok, when the internet was still the Wild West. And the case grew with it. Maura's story became a kind of living urban legend. A true crime myth. A template for every YouTube rabbit hole, Reddit thread, and Netflix doc that followed. And here's why it won't go away. Because every theory makes sense. And none of them do. It's been 2 decades. No remains. No sightings. No resolution. Maura's family still holds out hope. Her case is still technically active. The New Hampshire Cold Case Unit reviews it periodically. But no arrests have been made. No new evidence has emerged. And in that vacuum of silence, the questions only grow louder. Why do we care so much? Maybe because Maura could have been any of us. Smart. Young. Just days before her disappearance, Maura was caught using a stolen credit card. And then, hours before vanishing, she told her professors she had a family emergency. Spoiler, there was no emergency. Even weirder. She packed her car with snacks, alcohol, and a printed-out map of New Hampshire. She wasn't running away on impulse. She was planning something. And here's the kicker, she withdrew nearly every cent from her bank account, $280. That was her escape fund. Why? Where was she going? And more importantly, who was she running from? To understand Maura's disappearance, you have to understand Maura herself, not just the transcripts and trophies, but the complexity underneath. She wasn't just a nursing student. Before UMass, Maura had attended the United States Military Academy at West Point. Think about that for a second. West Point. One of the most elite, demanding institutions in the country. You don't get in by accident. You don't survive there unless you're smart, focused, and tough. But Maura left after a year. Quietly. No public scandal. No dramatic exit. Just, gone. The official story? She wanted to switch majors and become a nurse. But unofficially, rumors swirled. She allegedly stole makeup from the commissary. Petty theft. A minor incident, but enough to cast a shadow on her spotless record. Enough to prompt a transfer. That's the first crack in the image. And it wouldn't be the last. Now let's fast forward to just days before she vanished. At UMass, Maura and a friend were caught using a stolen credit card number to order food, late-night takeout. The kind of thing that seems stupid and impulsive, especially for someone with her resume. Not exactly Ocean's 11. They used the card to order pizza. Yes, pizza. As in, felony fraud, for pepperoni. Maura admitted guilt, and the charge was likely going to be dismissed after a few months of good behavior. It wasn't going to ruin her life. But it was enough to cause stress. Enough to build pressure. And when you stack it on top of everything else, her recent car crash, her emotional breakdown at work, her sister's relapse, it becomes more than a single bad decision. It becomes a pattern. A descent. On the morning of February 9, 2004, Maura sent emails to her professors. She claimed there had been a death in the family, and she'd be gone for a week. There was no death. No funeral. No family tragedy. So why lie? Let's break it down. She didn't want to attend classes. She didn't want anyone looking for her right away. She wanted time. Space. Privacy. That email wasn't about grief. It was a smoke screen. She was buying time. That suggests planning. Intent. This wasn't some college burnout moment. This was calculated. But calculated, for what? By midday, Maura was preparing for a trip. But it wasn't a spring break getaway or a visit to friends. Here's what she packed. Alcohol, vodka, Baileys, Kahlua, and boxed wine. A mini liquor store. Snacks, enough for several days on the road. Maps, printed directions to rural destinations in New Hampshire and Vermont. A few clothes. Some toiletries. A stuffed animal. Let that last one sink in. A stuffed animal. That detail always feels out of place. This wasn't someone running from a crime scene. Or charging into a party weekend. It feels childlike. Nostalgic. As if she were trying to take comfort from something familiar. Or someone preparing for a lonely journey, needing something that felt safe. And then, she withdrew $280. Her entire bank balance. That was her escape fund. You don't clean out your account on a whim. You do it because you think, I won't be coming back anytime soon. Earlier that day, she made 2 phone calls that raise even more eyebrows. Call number 1, she contacts a number associated with a condo rental company in Bartlett, New Hampshire. No reservation was made, but she was asking questions. About lodging. In the middle of winter. In a remote, mountainous area. Call number 2, she calls a toll-free number related to booking ski resorts. Again, this isn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. She was planning a trip. She was thinking ahead. And here's what's most important, she didn't tell anyone. Not her boyfriend. Not her friends. Not her father. She left without a word. And that silence? It's deafening. We're left with the question that haunts every investigator, every podcaster, every Reddit thread. What was Maura running from? Let's consider the options. Legal trouble? The credit card incident was small potatoes. A bad relationship? Possibly, but there's no solid proof of abuse. Family drama? Sure, but not enough to vanish completely. Mental health crisis? Maybe. They met at West Point. He was still in the military, stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. By all accounts, they were close. He was concerned when she disappeared. He flew out to join the search. His family supported hers. But years later, rumors surfaced. Emails allegedly showed Bill had cheated on her in the past. A friend claimed Maura was considering ending the relationship. And worst of all, some documents suggest he may have had anger issues. Now to be clear, Bill has never been named a suspect. He cooperated with police. And no one, not the FBI, not the cold case unit, has charged him with anything. But in a case with this many dead ends, people fill in the blanks with suspicion. Fred Murray, Maura's dad, has been her most relentless advocate. From day one, he's challenged the official narrative. He's pressed the police, the media, the government, anyone who'll listen. He believes Maura was the victim of foul play. That she was taken. Possibly by someone local. But even Fred admits there are things Maura didn't tell him. Secrets she kept. He says she was under a lot of stress, but nothing that screamed runaway. He still visits the spot where her car was found. Leaves flowers. Talks to her. 2 decades later, he's still searching for his daughter. He never gave up. Now, let's talk about that oddly specific amount, $280. It's not enough to vanish. Not by a long shot. A bus ticket? Sure. A couple nights at a cheap motel? Maybe. But start a new life? No chance. So the question becomes, was she meeting someone? Was $280 just her share? Maybe she thought she'd only be gone for a few days. Or maybe, just maybe, she didn't think she'd need money where she was going. It sounds dramatic. But with Maura? Every detail feels loaded. Every item in that car is a potential clue. And none of it adds up. Some of Maura's classmates later admitted she'd become withdrawn in the days before her disappearance. She wasn't herself. She avoided people. She stopped smiling. She seemed distant. But no one sounded the alarm. Why would they? College students vanish into stress all the time. Finals, breakups, bad grades, it all blends together. But in hindsight, that silence was screaming. She was spiraling. And no one saw it in time. So here's a big question, why the White Mountains? Maura had no known friends or family in Haverhill. She wasn't a skier. She wasn't from the area. So why go there? Some theories suggest she'd vacationed in the area with her dad as a kid. She was drawn to the isolation. She was meeting someone nearby. But perhaps the most compelling theory? She chose New Hampshire because no one would follow her there. It was cold. Empty. Remote. The perfect place to disappear. Voluntarily, or not. When Maura left campus that Monday, she didn't blast music or call her best friend. She didn't text goodbye. She didn't even take her favorite clothes. She left with alcohol, a map, and silence. That silence is what's always lingered. No note. No confession. No final text. Not even a "don't worry about me." Just the sound of tires on a snowy road, and then nothing. Let's lay it all out. Here's the final 48 hours of Maura Murray's known life. Saturday, February 7th, she crashes her dad's car. Minor injuries. Police report filed. Sunday, February 8th, speaks to her boyfriend. Makes some odd calls. Seems calm. Monday, February 9th. 1 a.m., she uses her computer. 8 a.m. emails professors about a family emergency. Midday, withdraws $280. Buys liquor. 3:30 p.m., leaves campus. 7:27 p.m., car crashes in Haverhill, New Hampshire. 7:35 p.m., police arrive. Car is empty. Maura is gone. 8 minutes. That's all it took. 8 minutes between the last person to see her alive, and the arrival of law enforcement. That 8-minute window has haunted this case for 20 years. By the end of February 2004, Maura's disappearance had made regional headlines. But as the internet caught fire, so did the theories. Podcasts, documentaries, YouTube channels, all trying to solve what police couldn't. Some say she's living under a new name. Some say she was trafficked. Some say she was murdered and buried deep in those woods. But there's one theory no one wants to touch. What if Maura didn't want to be found? It's uncomfortable. Unsolvable. But not impossible. Maura's story is more than a cold case. It's a mirror. We see ourselves in her. Our stress. Our secrets. Our mistakes. She wasn't perfect. She was human. And that's what makes this story so devastating. Because she could have been your sister. Your daughter. Your classmate. Your friend. She could have been you. February 9, 2004. Around 7:25 p.m. A black Saturn sedan crashes. A detail police would later wave off, while internet sleuths screamed, "Sabotage." Here's where it gets chilling. A bus driver had pulled over to help Maura. She declined his help, said she already called AAA. Spoiler alert again, there's no cell service in that area. 10 minutes later, she vanished. She was either picked up, or she disappeared into the woods in sub-zero temperatures. Both scenarios spell danger. One means foul play. The other means hypothermia and death. But either way, the clock was ticking, and Maura was already a ghost. Route 112, also known as the Wild Ammonoosuc Road, winds through northern New Hampshire like a vein through wilderness. On a good day, it's scenic. Picturesque. Quiet. But on a winter night in February? It's cold. Isolated. Almost lifeless. No lights. No traffic. And not much help. That night, visibility was low. The air was sharp enough to burn your lungs. Snow lined the road. And Maura, after driving nearly 3 hours from UMass, was nearly 150 miles from anyone she knew. So when her black 1996 Saturn veered off the road and struck a snowbank, she wasn't in a place where help comes quickly. But here's the strange part. Help came. And she didn't take it. Enter Butch Atwood, a local school bus driver, just finishing his route. As he approached the crash site, he noticed the Saturn lodged in the snowbank. He slowed, pulled up beside it, and saw a young woman, brunette, alone, appearing shaken but uninjured. He asked if she needed help. She said no. She told him she had already called AAA. Now here's the kicker, there was no cell service in the area. 0 bars. Not even a whisper of a signal. So unless Maura had called before the crash, her story didn't make sense. Butch thought it was strange, but didn't press. He drove 100 yards to his home, parked, and called 911 himself. That call was placed at 7:27 p.m. Here's the part that gives every investigator, journalist, and YouTube sleuth insomnia. Between 7:27 p.m. and 7:36 p.m., Maura Murray vanished. That's 8 to 10 minutes. On a freezing night. On a remote road. In the middle of nowhere. When police arrived, they found the car's doors locked. Windshield cracked. Airbags deployed. A box of wine leaking in the back seat. A rag stuffed tightly into the tailpipe. And no sign of Maura. No footprints. No blood. No dropped phone. No purse. No coat. Just silence. The scene looked frozen in time. Like a photograph. Like she had been erased. Now, let's talk about the rag. This wasn't a random piece of fabric tossed in a ditch. It was jammed into the exhaust pipe of the Saturn. Theories exploded immediately. Police theory, it was just an old maintenance trick. Fred Murray, Maura's dad, said he had told her to use it once before to stop the car from smoking. Internet theory, sabotage. Someone intentionally stuffed the rag in to cause the car to stall. Or worse, to fake a breakdown, lure her into stopping, and ambush her. Could Maura have done it herself? Sure. But why would she do that while driving? This is one of those clues that feels either mundane or menacing, depending on which theory you believe. And in a case this cold, everything matters. When Officer Cecil Smith arrived at the scene at 7:46 p.m., Maura was gone. Smith noted. No signs of a struggle. No footprints leading away. No obvious indication of which direction she had gone. Now here's where things get messy. Officer Smith was allegedly driving a different vehicle than the one listed in the police log, a claim that's fueled conspiracy theories about a potential cover-up or misreporting. Some say he was in a sedan. Others say he was in an SUV. The question is, why lie about a detail that's small, unless there's something bigger beneath it? And again, no one knows where Maura went in the moments before he arrived. One theory is heartbreakingly simple. She panicked. She ran. And she froze. Maybe she was drinking. Maybe she feared getting arrested. Maybe she thought she could hide for a bit and walk to safety later. The area surrounding the crash site is dense with trees. Steep embankments. Deep woods. It's easy to get lost. Even easier to disappear. But here's what bothers experts. No scent trail. Tracking dogs brought in days later couldn't follow her scent beyond a short distance. No items dropped. No coat. No gloves. No phone. No remains ever found. Not a bone. Not a shoe. Not even a torn piece of fabric. For someone who allegedly died of exposure, she left nothing behind. Now let's examine the darker theory. Maura was abducted. It's possible that someone driving through the area saw her alone, offered help, and she accepted. The chilling part? That person could have arrived within minutes of the bus driver leaving. And that stretch of Route 112 is perfect for a predator. Remote. No cameras. No witnesses. A lone female on the roadside at night. We'd love to believe monsters don't walk our roads. But if one did that night? He didn't leave evidence. In the days following her disappearance, reports trickled in. Someone saw a young woman running along Route 112. A resident claimed a woman matching Maura's description knocked on her door, looking cold and scared. A few said they saw a dark pickup truck parked near the crash site later that night. None of these have ever been verified. And none led to Maura. What makes this case so chilling is not just that Maura disappeared. It's that she disappeared completely. Think about how hard that is in 2004. There were still security cameras, bank records, phone pings. Not as advanced as today, but still enough to track most people. And yet, there's nothing. No digital trail. No paper trail. No confirmed sightings. No remains. No answers. Some locals in Haverhill believe the truth is known by a few, but buried by silence. There are whispers. Of people in town who know something. Of houses that were never searched properly. Of inconsistencies in police logs, reports, and responses. One house, near the crash site, allegedly caused cadaver dogs to hit in the basement years later. But police didn't excavate. To this day, it hasn't been officially searched. Fred Murray has begged them. But nothing's been done. Why? Too little evidence? Or too much risk of finding something no one wants to explain? Here's what we know for sure. At 7:25 p.m., Maura was alive. By 7:46 p.m., she was gone. In that narrow window of time, something irreversible happened. Was it a panic mistake that led to her death? Or a coordinated ambush? Either way, from that moment on, Maura Murray ceased to exist. She became a ghost. A headline. A mystery that refused to fade. There's a concept in true crime called the phantom moment. It's the last confirmed second of someone's life, the final sliver of certainty before the timeline unravels. For Maura, that moment is her conversation with Butch Atwood. He saw her. He spoke to her. She was real. Then, she wasn't. She became the negative space in a photograph. The empty chair. The silence after a dropped call. And 20 years later, we still don't know why. Let's quickly recap the primary theories now that we've walked the scene. She ran into the woods and died. Plausible, but unlikely given no evidence. She was picked up and murdered. Frighteningly possible, with no proof, but also no denial. She staged the crash and vanished willingly. Highly debated. Why crash the car? Why risk death? Police mishandled, or covered up, evidence. Some inconsistencies support this. But no smoking gun. All four are missing one thing. Maura. Every year, thousands of people go missing in the US. But Maura Murray's case endures because it represents the edge of explanation. She was smart. Prepared. Young. Capable. And she vanished in the time it takes to microwave popcorn. That's why we keep coming back. Because if Maura can vanish that easily, so can anyone. When Maura disappeared, the internet was just starting to find its voice. Online forums lit up with theories. And let me tell you, it gets weird fast. Some believe Maura was abducted by a serial killer. Others say she ran off to start a new life in Canada. And then there's the theory that Maura's father knows more than he's saying. Oh, and don't forget, the rag in the tailpipe truthers. Reddit threads. Blogs. YouTube series. TikTok deep dives. Podcasts. Discords. You name it, if it connects to the internet, Maura's name is echoing in it. She became more than a missing person. She became a myth. But here's the cold, hard truth. 20 years later, there's no definitive evidence. No body. No confirmed sightings. No arrests. So how do you solve a case with no leads? And possibly, no crime? That's what's made Maura Murray's case legendary. Everyone has a theory. Everyone has a motive to believe. But no one, not even her family, has closure. In 2004, Facebook was brand new. YouTube didn't exist. Podcasts were barely a thing. And yet, Maura Murray's case was born for the digital age. It started small, message boards like Web Sleuths and the Maura Murray Forum, where strangers became overnight detectives, building timelines, mapping routes, analyzing weather patterns. They dissected everything. The placement of the car. The wording of Maura's emails. The history of Route 112. The timing of the police logs. Even the condition of the rag in the tailpipe. This wasn't just speculation, it was obsession. And for some, it still is. One of the most enduring theories. Maura was the victim of a serial killer. And this isn't just tinfoil hat speculation. There were other missing women in New England in the early 2000s. Some vanished under oddly similar circumstances. Brianna Maitland, for example, just 90 miles away, disappeared a month after Maura. Her car was found abandoned at an odd angle. Driver gone. No trace. Same profile, young, brunette, smart. Some have speculated that a predator was targeting isolated women. Even former FBI profilers have said, this could be the work of a serial offender. But here's the problem, no bodies. No confessions. No matching MO. So while it feels sinister, the evidence doesn't stick. The next theory takes a sharp left turn. Maura staged her disappearance, and is alive today. It's the theory that gets the most pushback, and the most traction. Here's why. She packed maps. She withdrew cash. She told no one where she was going. She vanished in minutes with no trail. Sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Some think she crossed into Canada. Others say she's living off the grid in Quebec, Vermont, or even the Pacific Northwest. There have been sightings. A blurry photo here. A waitress in Ontario who looked just like her. A post on a message board from someone claiming to be her. All of it unconfirmed. But the idea persists because it's one of the only theories where Maura gets to survive. And that hope? It's powerful. Now we step into uncomfortable territory. There are those who believe Maura's own family, particularly her father, Fred Murray, knows more than he said. Why? Some say he was overly involved in the early investigation. Others point to his insistence on certain theories, like abduction. A few cite odd behavior in early interviews, shifting timelines, inconsistent quotes. But let's be clear, Fred has never been a suspect. He's never been charged with anything. He's begged law enforcement to dig deeper. He's walked miles of woods looking for his daughter. Still, when answers are few, people point fingers at those closest to the case. It's not always fair. But in this story, nothing is. Yes. This is real. There's an entire internet subset who focus solely on the rag in the tailpipe. To some, it's the Rosetta Stone of the whole case. A clue planted. A call for help. A signature. Some believe it was Maura herself, trying to sabotage the car so no one would follow her. Others think it was placed there after the crash, to simulate a breakdown or throw off the investigation. A few suggest it was symbolic. A calling card. A cry for help. No matter how you slice it, the rag has become a meme in true crime circles. Because it's one of the few concrete pieces of evidence we have. And it doesn't make any damn sense. Here's the hard reality. No leads have surfaced in over a decade. Searches have turned up nothing. Investigators admit they're still open to all possibilities. And yet, there's no momentum. No progress. Why? Because this may not be a case you can solve with evidence. It may be one of those maddening paradoxes, the absence of clues is the only clue. We don't know if a crime occurred. We don't know if Maura planned it all. We don't know if she died within an hour, or if she's still alive. And law enforcement? They've hit the wall. There's no suspect. No motive. No body. No crime scene. Just a girl. A car. And a vanishing act so perfect, it's legendary. As true crime surged in the 2010s, so did interest in Maura's case. The Disappearance of Maura Murray, a 6-part docuseries on Oxygen, hosted by Maggie Frilling and journalist Art Roderick. Countless YouTube series, including some with millions of views. Podcasts like Missing Maura Murray and True Crime Garage have kept the story alive. But even with all that attention, nothing new has been uncovered. The more lights we shine on this case, the darker it seems to get. Fred Murray is older now. He's given hundreds of interviews. His eyes still carry that haunted urgency. That impossible hope. He believes Maura was taken. That someone out there knows what happened. That this case can still be solved. Her siblings have been quiet. Publicly, they've asked for privacy. Privately, they've been part of every search, every press conference, every agonizing anniversary. They want answers. But what they want more than anything? A place to put flowers. Let's step back. How does a 21-year-old nursing student, with no history of violence or mental illness, no known enemies, no paper trail, no plan to vanish, become the most famous missing person of the internet era? The answer is chillingly simple. She disappeared in a way we can't explain. And when we can't explain something, we mythologize it. She became a ghost in Google results. A face frozen in time. A riddle the internet has collectively vowed to solve. Maura Murray isn't just a person anymore. She's a story. An idea. A symbol of how fragile our lives really are. 20 years. No arrests. No answers. And no peace. But Maura's story lives on because of you. The viewer. The listener. The reader. The believer. You're part of the legacy now. And that's both beautiful and tragic. Because while her story is told over and over, Maura herself is still missing. This isn't just about a cold case. It's about how we respond to the unknown. Do we chase facts or chase closure? Do we seek truth, or just the most satisfying theory? Do we honor Maura by telling her story? Or distort her memory by turning it into entertainment? That's the question we all have to wrestle with. Because Maura wasn't a mystery. She was a person. She had dreams, fears, people who loved her, and a life that was interrupted mid-sentence. In 2021, nearly 17 years after Maura Murray disappeared, hope stirred once again. A private investigation team, using ground-penetrating radar, detected something anomalous beneath the soil near a home Maura may have walked past the night she vanished. The location? Just off Route 112. It wasn't random. This house had been a focus of suspicion for years. Eyewitness accounts. Rumors. The kind of coincidences you can't ignore forever. The property owner eventually allowed access. Forensics teams moved in. Soil was tested. Equipment deployed. Everyone held their breath. Was this it? After all these years, a body? A trace? A clue? But once again, the answer was silence. Nothing. No bones. No evidence. Just more dirt, more doubt, and another cruel trick from the mystery that refuses to break. Since Maura vanished, the case has grown from a local curiosity to a national enigma, one that has become bigger than itself. There have been 6-episode docuseries. Federal Bureau involvement. At least a dozen major podcasts, each with its own angle, tone, and theory. Thousands of hours of YouTube content, dissecting seconds of security footage and freeze-framing the unseeable. Maura's name trends every February. People post on Reddit as if they knew her. TikTok creators build timelines in 30-second clips. And every comment section reads like a digital seance, calling her back from the void. But no matter how loud we scream into the algorithm, Maura never answers. Even now, 2 decades later, the central theories still circle like vultures around the same questions. 1. She ran away. Maura's life was a pressure cooker. Academic stress. Legal trouble. Romantic turmoil. Family tension. The getaway car. The alcohol. The lies she told to vanish quietly. It all feels plotted. But if she staged her disappearance, she did it flawlessly. No paper trail. No digital slip. No contact with loved ones for 20 years. People don't just disappear that cleanly. Do they? 2. She was taken. A dark road. A vulnerable moment. One wrong stranger. Some theorize she was picked up by a passing motorist. Or worse, someone who knew the area well. But in 20 years, no one's confessed. No remains found. No truck stops. No DNA. No murder weapon. So if foul play occurred, it was surgical. 3. She died that night. Alone. Wearing only light clothes in sub-zero weather, some believe Maura fled the crash scene, possibly panicked or intoxicated, and died in the woods. If that's true, she may be just beyond reach. Just past the tree line. Just beneath the snow. Which begs the cruelest question of all. Did we just miss her? So why does this story stick? Why does Maura Murray occupy a throne in the kingdom of cold cases? Maybe because she was ordinary. A college student. A daughter. Someone who ran track, pulled all-nighters, and cried in dorm stairwells. She could be anyone. She could be us. And that universality makes her absence impossible to ignore. When Maura vanished, we didn't just lose a person, we lost certainty. The idea that the world makes sense. That crimes get solved. That people don't just evaporate without consequence. And in that vacuum, we search. Maura's case is a mirror. And when we stare into it, we don't just see clues and crime scenes. We see the limits of law enforcement. The seduction of unsolved mysteries. The way the internet turns tragedies into puzzles. The thin, cracking ice between justice and voyeurism. And yet, every podcast, every theory, every drone flyover and data dive, is driven by one undying idea. That maybe this time, we'll get it right. That this episode, this clue, this comment, will be the one that cracks it open. But that's the poison and the hope in cases like Maura's. You're always one clue away. And always one clue short. So here we are. 2 decades. Endless hours. A million clicks and comments and conversations. And still. No remains. No confessions. No closure. Was Maura a runaway, looking to erase her past? A victim of foul play who trusted the wrong driver? Or did she succumb to the freezing wilderness, just feet from rescue? We may never know. But her story is a haunting reminder of something bigger. Not every mystery gets solved. Not every person gets found. And sometimes, the scariest thing isn't what we find. It's what we never do. If this story haunted you like it haunted me, hit the like button. Share your theory in the comments, I'll be reading. And don't forget to subscribe for more cases that chill you to the bone. Until next time, stay safe. Stay curious. And never go quiet into the snow.